Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and today I have to tell you that I'm being pleasured by a game. Returnal is that game. Now, I bought a PS5 months ago. I was one of the lucky few people that finally managed to get this device. And when this device came out, there were games like Demon's Souls, which was a difficult game, right? You know, there was games like Spider-Man, which was already available on PS4 to begin with, and so on and so forth. Now, since then, we've had a real issue with games on the system. Like, at this point, I'm playing Judgment again, a game that I've already played on PS4 on the 5, just because I want to play some games on the damn thing that are actually built for it. Now, Returnal came out, which was an exclusive for PlayStation, and I was like, you know what? This already satiates some of my needs. A fresh new game to play on the next generation. Now, I wasn't really excited for Returnal. I wasn't hyped up for it. Like, I wasn't waiting and jacking myself off to play this game when it came out. I figured, you know, if the reviews are somewhat decent, I'll get it and play it and call it a day. Now, when I heard it was a roguelike, I was almost on the verge of not buying the game. It's not that I don't like the roguelike genre. I do actually enjoy a lot of games, like Hades, for instance. I play roguelikes, okay? But for me, a roguelike really has to click with me. Either I don't like it, or I absolutely love it. The entire concept of me spending RNG time basically begging for the game to not rip my anus in half and play the game to its end in one go is almost a daunting concept, right? So when Returnal did it, I was like, okay, a AAA roguelike better be good. Lo and behold, I can tell you for the last 2 days I've been playing it, it's good. Now, when I first played this game, I almost thought my PlayStation 5 burst. Like, for some reason, the GPU, I think, was failing on it, but it was something to do with a weird HDMI, so crisis averted. This game is so good that I'd probably be willing to pay for a scalper just to get a PS5 again to continue playing it. It's actually that enticing. Now, to understand, it's a roguelike, so you're gonna have to face a difficult game that you have to finish in a fucking straight shot. But it's not just about your skill, because Returnal isn't just about skill, it's about getting really good RNG. Now, to showcase some footage over here, the game basically starts from nothing all the way into the actual main system. Now, to cover a few things, graphically, Returnal is not the best looking game you'll ever see. It's a game that looks okay. It could have probably been done on the PlayStation 4 to begin with, but it runs on the PS5 at 60 frames per second, so whoo-ha, the whole world works. It's a game that looks serviceable, right? Like, it's not the best looking game on the market, but it's certainly far from the worst. There are a lot of different locations. There's nice little marshy forests, there's swamps, there's deserts, there's ice worlds, there's an entire decrepit, futuristic, like, alien world that's dead inside, I think. There are some genuinely visually enticing locations in the area when you look at it as a whole. As far as the enemy designs go, they're pretty fucking uninspired, but whatever. They're enemies that are easy to see, you can shoot them easily and call it a day. There's projectiles that make it look like you're playing Nier Automata, so, you know, visually it's a fine game. Story-wise, Returnal is okay. Like, there's a story in the game. There is a story. There's a few cutscenes that play. There's some inklings of stories. There's some lore that gets handed out. Some logs that you can listen to. If you're playing this game for the story, don't, alright? It's more for the gameplay, and boy oh boy, that's where it shines. Now, the gameplay for this game being a roguelike is all about making choices, okay? Do I want to fuck myself in the ass? Or do I want to fucking stab myself are your choices in this game, right? It's really just between a bad situation or a good situation. Like many roguelikes, it's all dependent on how good your RNG luck is. If the RNG gods aren't with you, you're gonna die, and you're gonna die, and you're gonna die. The game is gonna give you a shit ton of enemies, it's going to fuck you over on health, it's not gonna give you the good weapons, and it certainly won't give you the best item drops. Now, of course, if the RNG gods favor onto you, this game is incredibly easy to break. One of the inspirations was literally a run that I had. A run that ran for a good 2 hours, by the way. So to understand, I was playing Act 1, and I was getting my ass handed to me. It was until that I beat the first boss of the game and started exploring the desert area, the game started to hand me a new item, a perk, if you will. The perk allowed me to basically lifesteal 5% of the damage I was delivering from enemies, so I could stack this up 5 times. So 25% lifesteal for all the damage that I've been delivering. The game gave me that perk, and then I later got a weapon that gave a shit ton of damage. You can sort of crunch the math in your head and realize that I was never running out of health in the game. So at this point, I had so much health in the game, and I was building stacks on top of stacks. You could call me the Elon fucking Musk of Returnal, because I was sitting on like 1,000 points of money at the time. And I was just buying perks, left, right, and left, right. It was the luckiest, build that I was doing. It was the lifesteal build of the fucking millennium. And with this build, I carried myself to the absolute end of the first act. And I have to say, if it wasn't for the build and the 5 health pots that I was carrying, and the fact that the weapon I had was delivering damage from one universe to the other in no time flat, I probably wouldn't have beaten the boss. But see, it's that part of Returnal and roguelikes in general that are just addicting. Once you're able to understand the game and pull builds like that off, it becomes an addictive grind to relive that same high. It's kind of like when the crack dealer gives you that good hit of crack and you're like, woo, I gotta relive that. I gotta get through it. I gotta re-experience it again. That's literally what Returnal is, okay? It's the everlasting crack den of gaming that you're constantly stuck in through, okay? It's a bad experience to be in if you're looking at it from that perspective. But when the high is there, oh boy, the high is there. And that's where I think Returnal really stands strong. Now, there are a couple negatives in the game, and I think looking at these review scores, which are on Metacritic, the absolute asshole of video game internet review sites, you can see that there's a lot of 10 out of 10s. Like, oh shit, it's a 10 out of 10. The game is not as hard as some people are saying. Okay there, Chief. Calm down a little bit, all right? Not everyone's goddamn John Wick here. The game does have a challenge to it. I'm getting my ass reamed right now in Act 2. It's not a fun time. I mean, it is a fun time, not when you're on the bad side of RNG, though. Now, of course, when you go down over here, you can see that there's a lot of zeros, okay? The game is a total waste of time. I fucking hate this site. It's either a 10 out of 10 or it's like, this game fucking destroyed my rectum. Like, dude, there's no in-between with these reviewers. The game is a total waste of time. No BSO. What? No graphics next gen. Okay. Bad gunplay. Okay. The gunplay's good. Null graphic details. All stages are the same. All enemies have the same IA attack routine. The runs are eternal without possibility to save the progress and a lot of problems more. Now, there are a few problems I've had with the game, okay? The runs are too long. They are really long, okay? Usually in a roguelike, when I'm playing a game, the runs are usually like 30 minutes. When it goes over an hour, that's a rarity for me, okay? I never play a roguelike and manage to live for longer than an hour, right? So I usually get a couple of runs and I call it a day. With Returnal, one run alone for me can last up to like 2 to 3 hours, okay? Now, to understand, it gets really, really bad when you're spending 2 to 3 hours on a run and you lose, because you do lose that progress for the act. If you do, because there are certain checkpoints, okay? You fight a boss, you don't have to fight them again. You can skip past them. You can choose to fight them again, but you can skip past them to go to the next boss in an area. But the game really has to be done in sort of this straight shot for the most part, right? Just so you can move on through act to act to act. Now, to understand, when you have a 2 to 3 hour fucking run and it goes sour, yeah, it's not the best feeling in the world. And of course, those runs really matter when the RNG is blessed onto, because if the RNG isn't there, you're always going to be getting a build that just isn't up to snuff, okay? You're gonna lose. You know, skill only carries you so far in a roguelike. If the game is not giving you the lucky drops, you're not going to get anywhere. So I totally understand the frustration. The other problem that I've been having are the crashes. Now, I've had this game crash on me 3 times, okay? 3 times the game has crashed onto me. And it feels like it crashes after the game like is run for real time. Maybe there's a memory leak somewhere. Sometimes the crashes can literally happen during a long run. I've had a run that lasted longer than an hour and a half, and the game crashed as I was grinding stuff to fight the boss. So as I was almost done and moving to the boss, the game crashes. And that's it. That cost me an entire run. And there is no save. It's not like the game crashes, you reload, and it has like an autosave that like allows you to at least load up the last room that you've been to. No. Once the game is off, you've lost the run. It is gone for good, buddy. It is eliminated. And it's not like they're changing it. If anything, the game needs that to be fixed. Because here's the thing. If you're not going to put a save system and you're going to have 3-hour-long runs, it better not fucking crash once. Because here's the thing. If I die, that's on me, Chief. If the game crashes, you better sort that shit out, because I'm about to fucking snap the controller in half, let me tell you. But that being said, that's about all I have an issue with Returnal right now. Other than that, it's a game that's reinvigorated my sort of love and addiction to roguelikes, which, again, to pull that off on me is a bit of a big deal. So again, I just wanted to state it. I wanted to give a quick review of the game. I wanted to talk about it because there's been a lot of reviews floating around, but I wanted to give my opinion on it because I've put about 11, 12 hours since release into the game, and I feel like that's enough information to talk about a roguelike with. If you're into a roguelike that has an interesting atmosphere, I'm not going to say a compelling story because that would be a fucking lie. If you're into a roguelike that has just chunks and chunks of gameplay and different choices and just a lot of time that you can potentially sink into, this is probably the one. And if you're a roguelike fan in general, this might be a game worth supporting because, again, how often do you see AAA roguelikes in general? But then again, it's also a $70 game that's out on the market. So again, if you're willing to drop those many bones on a game like this, consider this video into effect. It's a good roguelike. It does have some technical issues, and again, it's a roguelike that you better be ready to put some goddamn fucking time into because some of these runs can be quite eternal. But ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mudahar, and if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.